Hello, I invite you to subscribe to the channel. Like it. It's important. I will tell the story of meeting people over 50 years. Now, a lot of people talk about love in 40 years. And I want to tell my love story for 50 years. You think it doesn't happen? It does. It is worth, however, to live to this age to understand that life does not lose its colors and presents unexpected surprises and generous gifts at any age. The main thing is to believe and not to despair. And, of course, not to sit idly by, but to act. I married for the first time at the age of 22 to a former classmate. I thought it was once and for all. The love was crazy and lasted quite a long time. I believed we fall into the 5% of early but stable marriages between classmates. But, as they say, not fate, the same thing happened to us as to most. We divorced after living together for many years, when my daughter was already an independent and successful married woman. The reasons are trivial. We had changed a lot over the years. I began to be weighed down by our marriage. It seemed terrible to me to live the way we did. We had grown apart. In my imagination, we looked like two convicts chained together. And it became unbearable for me to drag these bonds of marriage further on in life. I was afraid to think that this was the end of life. I once sent my husband to free sailing. I was higher in status and, on the one hand, he liked to take advantage of my opportunities, but on the other hand, it pissed him off. I, in turn, was annoyed by his constant drinking. And it was not that I worked a lot and I had no time for him. It all started much earlier. Perhaps it was his drinking that pushed me to career growth. Once again, after listening to his claims, I kicked him out the door and even paid my freedom, gave him money to buy an apartment. By the way, the apartment in which we lived was bought entirely on the money I earned. Well, that's just for the record. I'm not praising myself. So we broke up. We lived so many years, but I'm bored with this life. I was bored. At first I was just resting from family life, but loneliness is not for me. At my age, and we divorced in my 49 years, to meet a decent man is very difficult. True, I had 2 affairs, one with well-to-do men. Both were single, both my age, but the relationships ended in nothing. I thought that was the end of my womanhood. With married men from principle could not allow relationships, although there were those who directly said that while I still nothing and should take advantage of it. Then came a grandson, and I decided that free time will be fully devoted to him. I loved spending time with him. My daughter is successful and has a good family. But I was bitter to be alone. One day I decided to fill out a questionnaire on a dating site. I was ashamed. I thought it was indecent, and I did not believe that anything could come out of it. But so, just in case I took and did, I placed beautiful professional photos in my profile. Who only and what only wrote to me. But on the 3rd day came such an interesting message. I looked at the photo of my virtual interlocutor, thought that he is not bad, a nice man, and the age is appropriate, 4.5 years older, and especially I liked his eyes. I answered him in English. So began our correspondence, then communication on Skype. The man had a good level of English. We met Enrique in late October, and in January, after the holidays, he invited me to visit Spain. I flew in early March. All the way I was worried. I bought an expensive cream at the airport for some reason and put it on before the meeting, as if this cream could decide my fate. Funny. She must have been nervous. At the first moment of our meeting, we were both confused. We had been used to talking on Skype for several months, and here we were face to face. I wanted to sit down in front of Skype again and talk in a familiar environment. Enrique had been on a dating site for 3 years looking for a wife. He must have broken a lot of hearts. He's a macho guy and he's successful with the opposite sex. And when he saw me at the airport, he thought I was too good for him. He confessed later that he almost ran away. 2 weeks of my vacation we spent very interesting. We drove around all the neighborhoods. Enrique tried to show Spain and himself from the best side. And he kept saying that he wanted me to come back in the summer. But just before we left, he just kind of pulled away or something. And then he got the flu. The goodbye at the airport was chilly. But as soon as I checked in, he called me back. After I got home, we Skyped for 3 days. Enrique kept repeating that he felt very strange, that just now I was near me, and now I was thousands of kilometers away again. And then I received a letter from him, in which he wrote that he would never forget our meeting, that everything was wonderful, but he hoped that soon I would forget him. I don't even remember now exactly what kind of nonsense he wrote there, but soon he stopped answering my calls and letters. Wow! Why? I didn't understand what had happened. I could see that he cared for me. I could see that we were good together. It was obvious. But what happened, I didn't understand. I stopped writing and calling, but I felt bad and hurt. He was the one who didn't want to keep talking to me. During the 3 weeks we were apart, something happened to me every day. Broken heels, fallen paintings, and cornice in the apartment, burning appliances. I punctured 2 wheels on the car and knocked another in the parking lot. What did not happen? And then I got a call from a woman who comes over to help clean his house. And she said that all these days her boss is walking around frowning, unshaven, not joking around like he usually does. He's brooding. In general, he looks completely unhappy. And then I made up my mind and wrote to him that I bought tickets and want to come to May holidays to look him in the eye and hear what's wrong. I decided that if he didn't reply this time, I would try to forget him. But I felt that he didn't want that very much. He called back immediately and asked if it was true. I sent him a ticket to confirm it. I asked him if he wanted to see me. He said yes. The next day, he called me out of the blue and asked if I wanted to marry him. I told him yes. Is that crazy? I guess. But I've never regretted my decision. As Enrique explained his behavior to me later, he decided that I would not want to change my life. He saw that I had a good job, a normal income, that I was independent and successful. And he was in the worst period of crisis. He didn't want me to risk staying with him. But when I bought the tickets, it made a strong impression on him as proof that I had strong feelings. I visited Spain as a guest one more time in May, and in the summer I moved in with him completely. And this is the 5th year we are together with my beloved. I have the best and most loving husband in the world. We are very easy and good together. Although it happens that we argue and quarrel, how without it? He is loved by all my family and friends. Many have already visited us. He takes great care of my loved ones, especially my mom. Now I am a very different woman and I am happy with my life in Spain. We are over 50 years old. And we don't feel old. And life experience plays an important role in our relationship. We have a lot of plans for the future. We both consider ourselves very lucky. I consider it a gift to change my life so dramatically at my age. To learn a new language, to pass a new license, to integrate, to get acquainted with a new mentality, and to be enriched by another culture. I think it is wrong to say that it is easier for children to learn a language. An adult has a much larger vocabulary, the ability to think logically, to draw parallels and associations, and in general to approach language learning in a more systematic way. The problem may arise only in the lack of strong motivation and banal laziness, in the unwillingness to get out of the comfort zone. In addition, the older a person gets, the more important it is to train your brain, memory to delay old age. In general, it is important to keep yourself in shape. You don't have to go to another country to do this. I even started doing sports. Previously, I had a strong hypodynamia, from the entrance to the entrance by car, suffocating, climbing to the second floor on foot. Reluctance to engage in physical activity explained by lack of time. Now I regret it very much and make up for lost time. Physically, I now feel much better, I would even say as never before. All the physiological age-related female changes I went through surprisingly easily. I run in the morning for 7 to 8 kilometers, ride a bicycle, and it gives me joy and energy of life. My husband, who has been involved in various sports all his life, pushed me to sports through my resistance and protests. And now he laughs that he can't keep up with me. For this I am very grateful to him. And one more interesting detail. A year before I met Enrique, a woman at work offered me a coffee fortune-telling session. If my mother, who was with me, had not witnessed the words said, I would now doubt that I actually heard it, because I didn't believe in fortune-telling. So this woman told me that I would get married and that she could see the sea and white ships. And she almost described my future husband. I didn't believe her, because at that time I didn't think about marriage. And really, now every day I admire the yachts, the sea, and look into the loving eyes of my Spanish husband. It's amazing what can happen to us. We just have to act. Do not sit modestly. At any unexpected moment, fate can change. Have you heard similar stories when people in years happily find a companion? Write comments, please. Subscribe to the channel. There will be many more love stories. The most different. After all, we are very different. And it is important to find a person to your liking,